The fastest way to get from zero to the money in a new business is to, as I've talked about many times in other videos, you find a narrow niche, you research that niche and you ask them what their biggest problem is. You come up with a consulting or business service that helps solve or alleviate that niche. And then you call back the people you're researching with and you offer them that thing over the phone, which means you're going to probably, in most cases, close your first few business deals on the phone with someone. So what is the best way to close someone on the phone when you're brand new and you've never closed anything in your life because you never had a business before? Well, if you follow my models, you will have already talked to several people through your niche research where you ask them what their biggest problem is and you take some notes. What you do is when you come up with your solution, something that solves or alleviates that problem, consulting or a business service, so that's a done with you or done for you, you call those people back and they're willing to take your call because you probably already established some rapport. You might even already made a friend. Hey, Joe, remember me? We talked 2 weeks ago about da-da-da. Oh, yeah, how you doing? So now it's not a cold call anymore. It's a warm call. And you say, hey, by the way, you remember you talked about your biggest problem is blah, 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 blah? Yeah. Well, I have a service or I have a consulting thing or whatever you want to call it where I do X, Y, Z, and after 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, whatever, your problem is either solved or dramatically reduced. And again, this is the biggest problem they have. You're not going to make something up and try to sell it to them as I've talked about other videos, right? Then you got to go into a sales thing. Now, usually not going to say, oh, really? Here's my money. Now, that does happen sometimes. To be fair, that actually does happen. Really? Really? How much? And you throw a price at them and they say, okay. We've had people in some of our programs, this has happened, where they're doing niche research. What's your biggest problem? Well, my biggest problem is this. And they say, can you help us with that? And the guy's like, yeah. And then we help them close the deal. They actually get a deal right then and there. It happens. That's not typical, but it happens. Okay? Now, so how do you close the deal? First, you say, you have to establish, is this a problem? Now, if you're already talking to someone you already know it's a problem. If you're talking to someone brand new in the niche, you open up the conversation with, hey, do you have this problem? And they're probably going to say yes, because you already did the research on what the biggest problem is. So they're going to say, yeah, I have this problem. It drives me crazy. Great. What I can do is I have a service where we do X, Y, and Z, and blah, 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 and we solve or relieve the problem within blank. Well, Caleb, what if I don't know? That's a topic for another video. What if I don't know how to do it? I've discussed that in other videos. You've already figured all that out by now. It's not hard to figure out, not at all. Anyway, the point is you establish that you can solve their problem. And then you ask questions about why this is a problem for them. Now, maybe they're a weirdo and they don't consider that a very big problem. Maybe they're like, oh, this is a huge problem. You establish how much of this is a problem for you. How much money is this costing you? What kind of problems is this causing in your life? And you get them to agitate the pain. Oh, we have this problem and that. This problem causes this problem and that problem. I went through this and it drives me crazy. And oh my God. And, right? You agitate the problem. Then you present your solution. Here's what we can do. I could work with you for blah, 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 and we'll do blah, 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 and within 30 days, blah, 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 blah. And then you throw your price at them. $3,000, $1,000, $800, $5,000. How do I price the thing, Caleb? I don't know. Topic for another video. You've already figured this out. This is about how to close the deal. Then you state the price, and this is the hardest part of a sales call. You shut up. In some cases, if you're a talkative person or a nervous person or a jittery person or an emotional person, you know who you are. What you have to do is, as soon as you say $3,000, you take your hand and you cover your mouth like this. Because there will be a pause and it'll be really painful. You want to say something. No, let them say something. Now they're going to say one of three things, because I've been on a lot of sales calls. They're going to say one of three things. They're going to say, all right, let's do it. What's the next step? Or they'll say, oh my God, that's too much money. Or they'll give you an objection. Well, I would do it except blank. And they'll give you an objection. So if they say yes, obviously you proceed. If they say no, this is too much money. Or if they just say no and they stare at you. I know it's over the phone. Maybe they won't stare at you, if you're over the phone, but you get my point. They just say no. You ask why, and you get the reason. If the reason is money, too much, then you say, if this is your first client, first 1 to 3 clients, you are flexible on your price. You just need the client. You just need the money. You need the experience. You need the referrals. You need the testimonials. That's what you need. So we really don't care about how much money in terms of our first 1 to 3 clients. After we've had 3 clients, now we're strict on our price. But right now, we're not. This is your first 1 to 3 deals. Okay? So what you say is, well, okay, I understand. What did you have in mind? And then you close your mouth. Some of you keep talking. Don't keep talking. You know who you are. Stop talking. Close your mouth and listen to what they say. And they say, oh, I don't know. They say, well, if you did know, what would you guess? You don't like $3,000. What do you think is a fair price for me to solve or alleviate this problem for you? And you let them give you a number. Well, 1,500 would make more sense. Then you say, great, 1,500. I will send you my payment link right now. We'll get started right now. Boom. Because they just said it's okay. And you roll right into the close. Real simple. That's it. That's how you do it. That's how you close your first 1 to 3 clients. Now, if they give you an objection, well, I can't do this because of blank. Here's what you do. You start keeping track of objections you hear on the phone. You write it down. Okay. If you can answer the objection right there on the call, great, answer it. If you have no idea how to answer that, say, you know what? Let me give that some thought. Let me call you back tomorrow. Let me call you, or if it's in the morning, let me call you back this afternoon and see if I can resolve that. Maybe I can resolve that. Maybe I can figure that out. Because you're new. Fine. And you need to start making a list of the regular objections. Most niches have 5 to 7 regular objections that you will hear. So when you're dealing with a particular niche, and every niche is different, there'll be 5 to 7 objections that you regularly hear. I can't afford it. My wife won't let me, whatever the hell it is. Doesn't matter. 5 to 7. You write those down. You figure out what those 5 to 7 are, and then you come up with answers to those objections, doing your own research. You use AI to what is the answer to this objection if I'm on the phone trying to close, and you memorize the responses to the 5 to 7 objections. So over time, you're going to get really good at this. You're going to get the objection, like I've heard this before, and you roll right into your answer. Now, when you're new, you won't know the objections are. That's fine. Now, here's another question. Caleb, what if they say, why would I work with you? You're new. You've never worked with someone before. Here's how you handle that, because I've been in this scenario. I was once a new business owner, and I was going after my first few clients, and I got the same deal. Why would you hire you? Why don't we hire this big fancy consulting firm? When I was a kid, when I was 24, trying to get these clients, someone would say, why would I hire you? You're just some newbie. What the Here's what you say. You know what, Joe? You're right. I'm new. I'm brand new. Here's the deal. Number 1, if you work with me, you are my life. You are so important. You're going to be my first client. I'm going to move heaven and earth to make sure that you're happy. Because as my first client or second client or third, I'm going to make very sure you're happy. If you work with anyone else, 2 things. Number 1, they're going to charge a lot more money than I will. I'm flexible because I'm new. This service would normally cost you, whatever, $5,000. I'm going to charge $1,000 because I'm new. Number 1. Number 2, if you work with some other company that's been in business for 22 years, here's what's going to happen. By the way, this is the truth in most niches. And if it's not true in the niche, don't say this, but most niches is the case. What's going to happen is you're going to pay them $5,000, $10,000, way more money than you'd pay me. They're going to send out their junior people and you're just going to be a number on a sheet to them. You're not going to get the level of service you're going to get from me because I am going to try really hard to make you really happy. I'm going to eat, breathe, and sleep your company for the next 30 days. You're not going to get that kind of service from some big company, from some junior level guy. You're not. You're just not. And that's the reality. And you say that. Now, if they say, sorry, I'm not comfortable with this, great. You don't sell them. You say, thanks for your time. You move on. You call the next person. You're not going to sell 100% of people. And that's the last point to this is that you need to understand that most people will say no, and that is normal. Welcome to sales. Most people are going to say no, but as I've talked in my other videos, you're selling a high-ticket, high-margin thing. Consulting or a business service, you only need 1, 2, 3 clients to make a huge difference in your financial life, possibly enough to quit your job. You don't need very many people to say yes. You're selling a high-margin, high-ticket thing. B2B. 1, 2, 3 people say yes, you will be dancing in the street during a party. Trust me. So don't worry about if someone says no. Great, I'm that much closer to a yes, and you keep going. And that's how you close your first client. If you want help, my help, starting your location-dependent business, even if you have no idea where to get started, you're a total beginner, and making money within 90 days, click the link below wherever you see it around this video.